Hello Exile. Finally, new league. I chose my starting build literally at the last minute. So we'll start playing on Poisonous Concoction. And after getting some currency, we'll respec into Viper Strike of Mamba. This time I hadn't practiced at all, so the axe felt a bit unusual to me, but that won't be a problem for us. First Labyrinth, any good gems? Probably not. The league started pretty late in my region, so after a few acts I decided to take a quick nap. Second Labyrinth. Nothing good again. One more try. Kitava's down, the acts are done, all the passives are in place, now we can finally start playing. I have 6 Chaos Orbs, so it's time to switch to Viper Strike of the Mamba. Luckily, the skill isn't very popular, so it's quite cheap. We'll also need an amulet with a high critical strike chance and a pair of good daggers. That should be enough for white maps. Even with low-level gems, it already feels much better than Poisonous Concoction. Thanks to Master Toxicist, the build performs great in high-density mechanics, like Breach, for example. It's time to try the new league mechanic, and as it turns out, it gives some really good rewards. A shame I didn't start using it earlier. The fourth Labyrinth, this time, will simply take gem quality, which gives us a solid damage boost. Got a new helmet, and imagine how nice it feels to get something like this in SSF. Usually, items like that cost several dozen Chaos Orbs, but this time, they were practically free. Now it's time to improve our damage. The best source for that will, of course, be medium cluster jewels. For this, we need a base with item level between 68 and 83, for passive skills, and some alteration orbs. We're only interested in the low tolerance notable, which gives roughly 25% more damage. I just randomly crafted a good 6-link, even though it's not the Necropolis League, that's still incredible for the start of a league. And here's the first Void Stone. My first Divine Orb. And the second Void Stone. The last map is successfully completed. According to Pone Ninja, at the end of the first day I was in first place for Viper Strike damage, around 3 million DPS. Even though the build only uses clusters, this setup is enough to comfortably complete the Atlas. The main mechanic of the build is Perfect Agony, so we need to have a 100% chance to hit and crit. We can also use ambush on bosses to deal even more damage. Unfortunately, survivability isn't the strongest part of the build. On the second day, I had to choose a farming strategy. I'm not really a fan of bosses or invitations, I prefer mapping. But unfortunately, GGG nerfed almost all strategies, and this build isn't the fastest either. So, at first, I wanted to farm Expedition, but after thinking for a while, I switched to Essences. To improve my survivability a little, I decided to buy a doppelganger, which will give less physical and chaos damage taken. Also closed the last invitation, the Feared. Now I have all the Atlas skill tree points. And finally, a nice bonus, the Divine Altar. From which I received 20 divine orbs, which is more than everything I have. That's how my first 2 days of the league went. I plan to farm a bit on this build, then respec with another one to quickly farm maps. Share your impressions of the league, and I'll see you in the next video.